Everyone has experienced this at least once. You help, you answer, you stay available, you show up whenever someone calls. At first, people thank you, but something strange slowly begins to happen. The more present you are, the less people notice that you are there at all. What once felt like appreciation slowly turns into expectation. People stop asking if you have time. They stop wondering whether you are tired. They simply assume you will appear the same way the sun appears each morning. And many people live like this for years before they understand one quiet truth. Sometimes your absence teaches people more about your value than your constant presence ever could. This is the story of a man named Adrian and the unexpected lesson that changed how everyone around him saw him, including himself. Adrian lived in a small village and was known as a dependable man, not the strongest, not the richest, not the loudest, but if something needed to be done, Adrian was the one people called. If a roof needed repair, Adrian came. If a cart broke on the road, Adrian fixed it. If someone needed help carrying heavy stones, Adrian arrived before anyone else. When a neighbor had a problem they could not solve, they knocked on Adrian's door. At first, he felt proud of this. It felt good to be needed. People often said, Adrian will know what to do. And Adrian always tried. Day after day, he solved problems that did not belong to him. Sometimes he worked from early morning until evening, without noticing how tired he had become. But every time someone thanked him, he told himself it was worth it. Time passed this way. Neighbors knocked on his door at dawn. Friends appeared with problems late in the evening. Travelers stopped him on the road asking for help. Adrian rarely refused. When someone asked, he simply nodded and began working. He believed helping others meant he was valued. And because he believed this, he kept saying yes. But something slowly changed. People stopped asking if he was free. They stopped wondering whether he had plans of his own. When something broke, someone said, Adrian will fix it. When work appeared, someone said, Adrian will help. And Adrian always did. Until one winter morning, Adrian woke with a fever that left him weak and unable to leave his bed. For the first time in years, he could not help anyone. Word spread quickly through the village. At first, neighbors came to ask how he felt. Some brought small things to his door. Others simply stood outside and wished him strength. But after a few days, the visits stopped. A broken cart near the road remained broken. The leaking roof remained unrepaired. The stones near the field stayed exactly where they had been. Adrian watched through the small window near his bed. Days passed. Then something unexpected began to happen. A baker fixed his own cartwheel. A farmer climbed onto his roof and repaired the broken boards himself. Two brothers who always waited for Adrian finally lifted the heavy stones together. One neighbor who never believed he could repair anything discovered he could. The village continued moving. Not perfectly, but it continued. Adrian lay quietly and watched. At first, he felt something close to sadness. For many years, he believed the village needed him to survive. Now, he saw something different. They had needed his help, but they had also needed the chance to help themselves. Weeks later, Adrian finally recovered. He stepped outside again and walked through the village. Something had changed. People still greeted him with respect. They still smiled when they saw him, but now their voices sounded different. Adrian, do you have time? Adrian, could you help us with this? For the first time in years, people asked instead of assuming. And sometimes Adrian said yes, but sometimes he did not. One afternoon, while walking along the road, Adrian noticed an old traveler sitting nearby. The man held a walking stick and watched people passing with calm eyes. Adrian greeted him and sat down beside him. They spoke for a while about ordinary things. After some time, the old man looked at Adrian carefully. You look like someone who has recently learned something, he said. Adrian smiled slightly. I was sick for several weeks, he answered. And the village continued without you, the old man replied. Adrian nodded. Yes, it did. The old man reached down and picked up a small stone. He placed it in the middle of the road. Walk around it, he said. Adrian stepped slightly to the side and passed the stone. That was easy, he said. The old man nodded. Now imagine that stone had always been here, he continued. What would people do? They would walk around it, Adrian answered. Exactly, the old man said. Then he nudged the stone aside with his stick. But if the stone moves every time someone approaches, He pushed the stone completely out of the road. People never learn how to walk around it. Adrian looked down at the stone. The meaning appeared slowly but clearly. For years, he had been moving the stones out of everyone's path. He believed he was helping them, but he had also been teaching them something, that someone else would always clear the road. The old man stood and prepared to continue his journey. Before leaving, he said one final sentence. "Sometimes the greatest help you can give people is your absence." Then he walked away. Adrian remained sitting beside the road for a long time. The stone stayed exactly where it was, and for the first time, Adrian did not move it. Many people live like Adrian once did, always present, always available, always ready to solve every problem around them. It feels generous, it feels kind, but constant presence can quietly teach others to depend instead of grow. Absence, when it comes, reveals something important. People begin solving problems they once believed they could not solve. They discover strength they did not know they had. And something else happens as well. They begin to see the value of the person who is no longer always there. Your presence is a gift, but a gift loses its meaning when it becomes endless. Sometimes stepping back does not weaken relationships. Sometimes it finally makes them honest. Sometimes the lesson people need most is not what you do for them, it is what they discover when you are not there to do it. And that lesson can change everything. If this story made you think about your own life, take a quiet moment today and ask yourself one simple question. Where in your life are you always moving the stone out of the road? And what might happen if, just once, you left it there? Sometimes the road looks difficult only because you have been clearing it for everyone else. And sometimes the moment you step back is the moment others finally learn to step forward.